Shalom and happy Sabbath. This is your sister from another mother, but hopefully the same Abba Father, the Most High, right? So I'm doing something a little different today for this Sabbath and going back to the basics. And the topic is my brother's keeper or my sister. And so today I want us to turn to Genesis chapter 4. So we are in chapter 4 in verse 1, where it talks about the generations of Adam. It's the family lineage of Adam. Adam was intimate with his wife, or he knew his wife, Eve. And she conceived and gave birth to Cain. She said, "I have had a male child with the Most High's help." Then she also gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel became a shepherd of flocks, but Cain worked the ground. In the course of time, Cain presented some of the land's produce as an offering to the Most High. And Abel also presented an offering, some of the firstborn of his flock and their fat portions. The Most High had regard for Abel in his offering. He accepted it. But he did not have regard for Cain and his offering. He didn't accept it. Cain was furious and he was feeling some type of way. Then the Most High said to Cain, "Why are you furious? Pretty much, why do you have an attitude? If you do what is right, won't you be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it." In this day and time, aren't we dealing with the same thing? If we do what's right, we are accepted. If we don't do what's right, we should be learning from our ancestors what happens. We leave a crack in the door for sin, and we curse ourselves. Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Most High said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper or guardian?" Then he said, the Most High, "What have you done? Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." That was chapter 4 and verse 10, where we will stop in Genesis. Now, in this back to basics, my brother's keeper, we see in Genesis 4, Cain, the firstborn son and the first murderer. Cain was the tiller of the ground, and his name meant acquired or spearer. So we can probably guess that he killed his brother with a spear or a sharp object. And Abel was a shepherd, and his name meant breath or vapor. And so with Abel, which his brother Seth, after his death, took his place. And that's when man got back in order and right with Yah. And so we see a lineage of shepherds. Why? Because it's a typology of Yahusha, known as Jesus. And so when the Most High is saying, "Where's your brother?" he already knew where he was. But just like when your mom or your dad or your mate asks you a question and they already know the answer, they want to see if you are going to tell the truth. We see the same thing with Adam when he's asking, "Where are you?" It's not that he didn't know where Adam was. It was that Adam needed to say what was going on and what he did and confess. And so we see that the Most High was willing to give Cain some grace, but he took it a step further and let sin creep in through the door he left open. And so that's about our where. 2, he said, am I my brother's keeper? Now, how you gonna get smart or catty with the Most High, the Creator and the King of Kings, and be funny? Because one thing, the reason why I want to go back to the basics is because, like I said, we know whose we are, we know who we are, but we've lost our function. We know the title of brother or sister, but we don't know what that entails. And so Cain did. Cain knew. And so what's special about ancient Hebrew is that the pictures or the drawings, the script that they saw, it told each one that we would call a letter nowadays, told a story. When I see a letter A, it don't tell me nothing. But when I see the aleph, it tells me that it's first, that represents strong, and ox. This is where we get our modern day letter A, if you turn it from, in our number 1. The het, as it said, and I probably butchered that. But it represents, it's a picture of a fence. It represents fence and inner room. And it has a value of 8. And so when we look at this word, the script from right to left, everything we do is backwards, and we put it into a word, it means ak. That's what you hear people say when they're saying brother. And so when Cain said, am I my brother's keeper? He knew that he was supposed to be the first fence and the strong fence, a protector. I remember when my twin brothers were born, and after a few weeks, I was like, all right, I'm done. Let's put them back. I was 10 and a half. And my mom said, hey, chick, it don't work that way. And I said, what do you mean? If they came out, they should be able to go back in. Logic, right? And she said, no, you're stuck with them. And that's when I realized, oh, man, I'm stuck with these little dudes, tearing up my dollhouse and all my stuff. And even though they was tearing up my stuff, naturally, for some, I knew I was supposed to be their protector and build a fence around them. There's some siblings and folks that they come out acting like Cain. They don't want no sibling. They don't want this and that. And they might take you out, spiritually or physically. And so if you see that Cain spirit, move out the way. But back to the story. And so I realized I was stuck with them. And I was a protector. And so when we look at that, we should automatically put in our mind that we have to be one another's fence. When you have a fence around your pets, the kids in the house, or around your property, why is the fence there? The fence is there to either keep things out or to protect the things that are within. Like it says, the inner room. And so Cain knew he was supposed to be a protector of his brother. And then when we look at the blood, why did the Most High say that his blood is crying out? Because the blood was going into the ground. The ground was taking in the blood. And in order for the blood to be able to communicate to the Most High is because what? If we look at Leviticus 17, where it tells us not to even eat things with the blood still in it. That's why I don't eat raw food unless it's fruits and veggies. And I don't even like a little blood showing in my food. Because why? The life of flesh is in the blood. So that's how when people bleed out, they can die. Because they have no blood in them. There's nothing to keep them going. They're drained, literally. And so this is the lesson on Cain. Also, I wanted to quickly go to Proverbs 17 and 17 and see what that has to say about a brother. So let's go to Proverbs 17 and 17. Proverbs 17 and 17 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a difficult time." So we see right there, brother or sister is supposed to be there when things are good and when they are bad, and at all times they're supposed to have your back. The word also states that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. In order to love the neighbor as yourself, that means what? You have to love you. So the question of the day is, are you being your brother or sister's keeper? Think about that and take in this function, now that you know your function, if you have that title. And also, biblically, it wasn't just a blood brother. It was a kinsman, a countryman, a friend, anybody that was in the household or that you had a special relationship with. So I want to also add that when Cain said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Keeper, the word for keeper in Hebrew is shamar. And so I'm giving you some homework. I want you to look at the ancient Hebrew, and it's gonna end up being shamar. But I want you to look at the ancient Hebrew and look up each letter and see what they mean, what story they tell individually, and then put them together. I just want you to see it for yourself. So, like I said, with brother, it's strong fence. And under the Strong's dictionary, that would be H251, if you want to look that up for yourself. And then for keeper, shamar is H8104. In the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon book, it's 2853. So, not only was he saying, "Am I a strong fence?" So, keeper, like when Yah put Adam in the garden and he told him to keep it, he really was telling him to guard it with his life. So, the definition, you can look it up in the Strong's and in Ancient Hebrew. I already gave you the numbers. But it means to protect, to keep from danger, to guard, to save life, preserve, watchman, being aware, and building a protected wall around, building that strong fence. So that was double protection, right? So it was pretty clear that Cain knew what he was speaking of. To the Most High. And like many of us, he was being a hothead, stiff neck. And so, again, I ask you, are you your brother or your sister's keeper? Now that you know the definition, how are you going to move differently from this day forward? And so I hope you learned something. If you have any questions for me, if you like this, if you want me to talk about another topic, put it in my inbox or write it down low. But until then, much love, much shalom, Much shalom.